Welcome, and thank you for joining us on another episode of today's Electrical Estimating. I'm your co-host, Chris Trommer, and as always, I'm joined by our other co-host, Sal Huerta.
Hello, everyone.
So, Sal, in the past, we've had some conversations starting with, Matt Firestone, who, sort of drilled down and was mentioning how single operators should still be writing down their processes and procedures of their estimating so that as they expand, they already have what they do and what they want to do in writing for the next person that they may bring on. We continued that conversation with another contractor who's a bit bigger, already has a few estimators working for him, and mentioned that he does have processes and procedures in place, but the guardrails are set a little bit wider that allows additional creativity and individuality from the estimator to get from A to Z. In this conversation with our guest today, he works for a larger contractor. I think he mentions they have 200 plus estimators, that their guardrails, it seems, had to shrink in size, which makes complete sense. As you get bigger, you need to get a little bit tighter, because what this allows them to do is sort of be interchangeable. They can look at plans or specs, and all of a sudden, from the color coding, they can tell exactly what's going on, and they can have full transparency and easy access between their different divisions. So, a lot of this makes sense, but it's a great perspective from these different stages of talking with these individuals.
Yeah, Nick works for one of the largest electrical contractors in the United States. And so, like you mentioned, they're not only in one area, they're all over. So because of that, when they're doing estimating, they all have to kind of be on the same page. And like you mentioned earlier, the guardrails have to be tighter because they don't want to have, 10 people doing one way and then one person doing something else. It just adds more confusion to the actual job. So by, controlling things a little bit more, teaching everybody exactly the right way or the way that they want to have done, allows everyone, like you said, to be interchangeable. It also allows them to kind of know where the job is at every point. So they're not having to guess or think or worry about, gosh, did this guy finish this part of the job? What's going to happen here? They all are on the same page from like the jump off all the way till the end of it.
Yeah, so I think this will be a great conversation because it sort of concludes that independent one person show to a little bit larger of a contractor to the very largest, and how processes and procedures work with all of them. Let's not take up any more time. Always great speaking with you. I'll catch up with you next week. Have a great day, and take care, everybody.
We'll see you.
Processes and procedures, right? We have color schemes and that stuff. So when I have 248 McCormick users, it's kind of tough to keep everybody on the same page. But I have a class that I actually teach in this room. We fly people into Lincoln and they're here for 2 weeks where I train them on our core processes and procedures. So we do it the same way every time. Okay. I know people deviate, but here's the thing, like president of our company or vice president, I was teaching a class and I didn't even know he snuck in the back. And he said, oh, they're working on gear and feeders, or they're working on this. And this young kid, he just started, had been here a week. He says, how did he know that? I said, because he followed the color scheme. And we call it the Commonwealth color scheme. And I have a binder. It's pretty thick. Granted, I've been here for 22 years, but we hand this out to all the new people when they come to my class. And when you come to the class, we go through this stuff and we go through a live project. I do it with them. And then we see how close we can get to each other, which is fun. I've been doing it. I think I've got 103 people that came through this new class in the last year. Okay. We're pumping up through, but it's cool. It warms my heart, I guess, to see, when you go to different locations and you work with others, and it's kind of like I can come in and just mesh in with them, right? It makes us seamless, I guess. And so I don't want to sound weird, but it's just cool how we can work together. We're miles apart, but we're still one team. Okay. Moving forward in the right direction, I guess.
Seems like you guys have a lot of set procedures from what you're mentioning with your color coding process that keeps everybody on board, makes it easy for people to work together, interchange, swap in where needed, especially with having all these different locations. Nobody's having to
Yes.
walk in and have to start from scratch. Does that sort of take away from their, I guess, creativity looking at specification or a project drawing and working on it with what they think could work best? Does that take away from there and just say, listen, this is our corporate procedure and this is what we found works?
It's where you're going, and you're right. Let's be honest. There's 248 users. They're not all going to do it the same way, right?
Yeah.
Or but at the end result, when you extend it, I mean, you're using the same parts and pieces, right? I know in my heart, I'd like to know that they all do it the same way when they leave me. I know they don't. I mean, let's
Mhm.
just be honest, right? It's just part of life. You got them wild, I'm gonna call them wild cowboys, right? But here's the thing, Chris and Sal. The reason we do it the way we do it is because it's gonna save you headaches and you're not gonna have problems, right? And I'm gonna say it's like getting your out of jail free card. So if you follow our procedures and processes and procedures that we have in place, you're probably not going to have problems. When you start going wild cowboy on me, then it's hard for me to back you up and say, "Hey, you did it this way." I mean, I get phone calls. I mean, I'll get 10 or 12 a day from different people throughout the company. Hey, how do I do this? Well, I jump on a Teams call. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, remember we did it this way. And oh, Nick, I forgot. And I understand everybody's busy and you want to take the shortcut. But here's the thing, guys. I've been a firm believer, and this is still not to this day pretty good sized product right now. That we got 9 estimators on it, right? And I'm the lead for it. And somebody says, well, can't I just do it this way? If you try to do the shortcut, excuse my language, you're going to get bit. That's just a firm belief for me. And sometimes it might take you an extra 5 minutes, but you know what? Then I know what the hell I did.
Do you feel like your procedures are more like guardrails that are saying, this is where we're going, this is how we're doing it, but leaves a little bit of individualism in between there
Yes.
where they can sort of look at
Yes.
something and decide, on their own, but it says, hey, here's our path. This is the direction that we'd like to go.
Right.
And
Right.
you can work your way through in between here. Just don't jump the guardrail on us.
Correct. And I mean, like you said, long as you're going down the interstate, I mean, and you don't change lanes a lot, I mean, you're still going to get to the end result, right? We all know that.
Yeah. With having these procedures in place, do you guys revisit them on a normal basis to say, okay, hey, some technologies change or products have changed or whatever it may be is coming new and we need to sort of look at what we're doing and incorporate these new thoughts or ideas into it.
Correct. Yes. And so what everybody does at Commonwealth, you have a thing on your desktop. It's core processes and procedures. And we got a new corporate trainer that they call it the LMS. It's the learning management system. And I don't know if it's a company, whatever, but they have this stuff in there, but we can always get in there and access it and change it and revise it. And then it'll push out, say, hey, there's a new process in estimating, or there's a new process in HR. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it kind of, if you have it on your desktop, it'll acknowledge you. And this is very new, guys, in the last year implementing this. I mean, in which I'm a firm believer of it. And you're right. Technology just changed. I mean, you guys know that they're in the industry. I mean, they may change a different cable or something. I don't know, but we may have to change our process.
So are you guys do you do continued training with your estimators on a regular basis? Is that something that's set into place so that those guardrails we talked about could sort of be adjusted each year so that your guys are going, hey, we did the learning, we understand the new processes, but hey, we're in person now and we're talking one on one to make sure everybody's 100% caught up to speed?
Yeah, and so every year we have like it's called a progress meeting, and granted we got project managers, we got accountants, and all that stuff. But for estimators, we bring everybody into Omaha, Nebraska. We fly them in from all the country, and we're there for 2 days, and we do it's like a class, kind of like a summary, like a catch up. Hey, like a refresher. Again, I talked about McCormick. You got this new version coming, so what I'll have on that is we're going to be showing them the new version. This is how you do it. Because basically, I'm in the heart here. And what we do, we push it out to all the branches because we want to follow what we do, obviously, like a
Mhm.
taught, but to help them. Because, like you said, you don't want them to be on their own island because they're not going to follow your process. Let's just be honest. If they're on their own island.